all yours, Ken.
Okay, I was asked to speed this up just a little bit, so we're not going to practice turning a spindle. If you want to see that after a while, I'll be happy to make some pine shapes. What we're going to at least start is to make a sphere. So we'll start off with a square piece and turn it down to round, and then mark it off and see what we can do here. Some people knock the corners off with a table saw. I have a problem with that because my table saw is about that big square and is flat and is empty. Wait a minute. There's no such thing as an empty flat spot when you have a lathe. So I have to clean off the table, to dig down to the table saw so I can knock the corners off. I know I'm the only guy with that problem. So we'll just knock the corners off this way and see about how long it takes. When you watch YouTube videos, they'll take a roughing gouge and go back and forth like this 2 or 3 times and it'll be round. I have a problem with just going from one end to the other because with our pocket knives we learned that wood will split. Mark, would you rather be hit with that chip or with that one? We'd like to get hit with the little chips rather than the big ones. So what I do to turn a piece down to round is make small cuts. And I do wear a face shield when I'm doing this big stuff. When I'm down to making little chips, not so much, but the safety glasses are important. What about tool height? Honestly, it doesn't make any difference. Does the wood know that you're up here like this, down here like this, or someplace where it's comfortable? And the answer is the wood and the edge don't care. The only reason for picking the height of your tool rest is whatever's comfortable for you right now. You might want to change it and do something a little different after a while, and that's all okay. Height of the tool rest is just for your comfort. Let's make a shaving.
Face shield.
Thank you. We'll see how far around those shavings get. Did you hear the difference when it went from chunka, chunka, chunka to hiss? That's how you know when it's round. If you listen to the wood and feel it, it'll talk to you. Also, you would like to have the tool rest fairly close to the wood. Ken, you just said the wood and the edge don't know anything about that. That's true. But out here at the other end of a lever, you do. So if you keep the tool rest fairly close to the edge of the wood, you get a short lever here and a long lever out here. That means you have to move this farther to make anything happen here. That gives you better control. It takes less force out here. That gives you better control. And it just makes your life easier if you keep the tool rest close. Another thing that helps is, especially when you're roughing, you need good control, and there's a lot of vibration going on. Plant your backhand against your body. Don't try to control it like this. Hold it against your body and control it with your legs. Move your body across the part rather than just your hand. You just get so much better control that way. In just that couple of minutes, we're round. Rick?
You're doing more cutting than scraping at this point? Is that, I mean, you got here's the wood, you got an angle like that.
Yes.
I've got if I'm cutting to the left, I turn it at about 45 degrees, and with the edge and the heel rubbing. And now as I move the handle out, the blade tips closer to the wood, so you can steer it in and out of the wood with the handle. If the heel and the tip are parallel to the bed of the lathe, you'll cut a constant diameter. If you pull the handle out so that the tip is tapered in, then you'll cut a taper. So you steer with the back of the handle and generally cut it at about a 45-degree angle. Now, when you're trying to do better work, you learned with a pocket knife to slide the blade. Or when you cut with a chisel, trying to cut the bottom of that hinge, you turn your chisel off to the side and you slide it, kind of pare the wood off. Well, what does that mean in a lathe? If you turn the handle up to about 80 or 85 degrees, now the wood is cutting down this way, and when you're cut with that tip, you've got a much sharper angle. The wood is sliding past your edge, and you end up with a much, much finer cut. If you look at Mark Sile's videos on slicing cuts, he's got several hours of videos talking about why turning that blade up at a very sharp angle is a good idea. And it works. So we've got it down and around. Now, I couldn't have gotten my saw cleaned off that quickly. They're laughing at me.
Yeah. We're laughing with you.
I'm the only one with this problem, and you're laughing at me. Rather than try to turn this down to round, or let's work on a couple of the spheres, some of the progress parts. That's not pretty, but it is round. But we'll take this one that has had the first piece cut off of it already. Use a smaller tool rest, just because we can get it closer. If you are looking at a lathe, try to do something with it. You know, does it run? Try to work it. How easy are the controls to work? There we go. This one, by the way, the giveaways, the door prizes that they offer for various things, that's what this was. I got this last spring sometime, right here. Very handy, it turns out. .66. So we could find the calculator. Oops, the battery's dead. So now we got to go find something else. I got tired of doing the arithmetic because every one that I tried was a different size. I was trying to maximize the amount of wood with every one of them. And when Bill cut these pieces out, he wasn't careful to make the cutouts exactly the right size. Next time, get it right, would you?
It depends on the piece of wood.
Imagine that, cutting scrap out and not being careful that the scrap was the correct size. Well, I got tired of doing all of that arithmetic every time and writing them down because I couldn't remember the numbers that long. So I can use Excel. So I made a little spreadsheet that 2.66. There we are. My first cut is 1.33 inches. So I could lay out 1.33 inches, and that finds the center point. Then 1.1. Set out 1.1. I did check these to make sure it was reasonably accurate. There we go, 1.1. Eyeball that, put a mark. Come down here, put a mark. Hold the pencil against the mark and spin it. Then I end up with a line all the way around that I could see when I turned the lathe on. So now I have two lines and just cut a straight line between them. We practiced on our spindle pieces so that we can make a taper. That's making some very fine shavings now. So I've got it tipped up at a fairly sharp angle and making very fine shavings to get that last little piece trimmed off. Now it's time, 2.66, 0.529 is the next width. This only measures to 10/1000ths of an inch. So I guess we're going to have to settle for 10/1000th of an inch adjustability on this. My daughter will never know. You could lay it out carefully. Honestly, eyeball is good enough. Put your line halfway between the calipers. Put a mark here, mark there. While we're at it, we'll do the other side. Put enough of a mark that we can see it. Darken it a little bit. We'll eyeball on the other sides so that we can get those turned down. And now if you start with the heel of your knife cutting first, then raise it until you're getting shaving. That's a good way to make sure that you don't dig in. With a pocket knife, if you're trying to do some fine cutting, do you start gouging first, or did you start shallow and then steepen it up until it would cut? Well, the answer is you start shallow and steepen it up until you get the cut you want. True? Everything you need to know on a lathe, you learned with a pocket knife. They're going to get tired of me saying that. So we'll start shallow, bring it up, we're cutting, and now we can cut across. That's such fine dust now I don't need the math. And all we're doing is trying to cut a flat surface from one line to the other. Straight lines are easy to understand. Fancy shapes aren't. Go the other way. It spun the spur drive because I dug in too much, and so then it wouldn't drive very well. So I snugged up the tailstock a little bit so that that spur would bite in again. And now we can't really get these end pieces cut away very well. So we'll turn the blade up the other way and use it as a scraper to get in on these corners, like that. And over here the same way. Now we have it down to 16 sides. So that cut was 0.54, so we could cut it down to 0.26. Oh, wait a minute. That's not even worth bothering with. Let's just take the blade, turn it up on the side, and we'll scrape away those real fine points, just like we scraped away the fine points when we were whittling. I can't turn that handle over there the other way. I'm right-handed. Well, I'm not. I'm left-handed. But you have to be able to run your tools both directions. If I tried to use this, I'd have to be clear over here somehow. So learn how to use your tools in both hands. Now it's roughly spherical. So we take this one out, put it over there on that mythical flat spot. Take another one, do the same thing to it until you get however many of them done up to this point that you wish. Now you can take this out. Change your chucking system over to some way to grab it from the sides. Saw the nubs off and turn it this way. If you look at this one, it's a little bit pear-shaped. So it's going to take a bit of work to make it round the other direction. And once you get it round that direction, turn it 45 degrees, make it round that direction. And you just keep turning it to make it round. Then sand it. Can I have 3 minutes for sanding? Sanding is later.